Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is the Ray Taylor Show.
Rayz Dayz, episode 145. This is a weekly diary podcast hosted by me, Ray Taylor. Every Saturday, I share my updates on my journey as an artist, podcaster, and business owner, and as a human. I'm excited to share my experiences with you and hope that my journey in some ways can serve as a source of inspiration and positivity for you. In this episode, I am going to be talking about some updates as I have been. I've been doing a lot of work, so a lot of updates, specifically updates that I've been doing to my website, inspireddisorder.com. Updates that I've been doing with this show, The Ray Taylor Show, as well as YouTube. I've been having all kinds of technology herpes. And for those that don't know, it's something that happens where, your technology doesn't work, stops working, and you can fix it for a while, but technology herpes always comes back. And that is something I will be talking about in this episode. In regards to my website and my live painting. I'm going to be talking about my to-do list victories as well as sharing something that I'm thankful for, as I do at the end of every episode of Rayz Dayz. We'll be sharing something that I'm thankful for because it's so easy to talk about and to highlight the negative aspects of life. I want to make a point to highlight the good things. The small things in life that make it a little bit easier to stand. But this week, my week, in addition to doing a lot of the refreshes that I've been doing with this podcast, as far as, getting overall templates and formats for each of the episodes, intros, outros, all that stuff, in addition to going digital with my show notes, my actual notes, that I go off of to make sure I stay on track and not forget anything, kind of migrating all that stuff from being pen and paper and whiteboards and marker to the Notepad app in my phone and tablet and laptop. This past week, I recorded all new promos that you will have been experiencing in these episodes this week. I recorded them last week. Spent a day editing all the new promos for stuff. Still have more promos that I want to record, but very happy with how those turned out, definitely. And for those to kind of peel back the curtain to let everybody know how I did that, I actually had ChatGPT write all of the scripts for those videos. So if you like them, I did, tweaking here and there, did some rewrites of different things, kind of tried to word things in ways that sound more like what I would say, but I love it, man. As far as my new assistant goes, aka ChatGPT, very happy with all of the work it's helped me do. And writing the scripts for all of those promos was a big help. But also using ChatGPT to upgrade my website, aspects of my website, basically filling in a lot of descriptions, a lot of SEO type stuff that have been, I've done versions of trying to, I'm just not great at writing it, and writing something that's going to be optimized for search is kind of, I don't know, it's a struggle to get motivated to do those things. And now that I have this tool in ChatGPT, I can easily have it write descriptions. So for my website, had it do descriptions and SEO stuff for all of the different pages that are on my website, but also through YouTube, doing descriptions for I've tons of different playlists on my YouTube channel, right? I have playlists for the different shows. So there's a playlist for Rayz Dayz. There's a playlist for Swipe Up. And then even more so, there are playlists for the different categories of movie reviews. So you can search, there's different playlists for genre of movie reviews. So if you want to just watch all of my movie reviews on comedies, you can do that. Same thing with my top 5 show where I do different categories. So if you want to watch all of my top 5 videos where I rank directors' work or subgenres, you can do that. So I have tons of playlists on my YouTube channel, and filling in those things, those titles and descriptions, and doing it in a way that's optimized for search, having ChatGPT do those things has made it so easy, right? Write a title and description, optimize for search based on this description of the show, which I had ChatGPT write out descriptions of my shows. So when you go to whatever podcast platform, it does a good job at describing what each show does and is worded and written in a way that is optimized for search. So it's a lot of copy and pasting. There's also a lot of TikTok videos that I've seen that talk about the best ways to format your prompts for ChatGPT to optimize and get the best results from it. So I've kind of been learning how to do that to get the best quality work out of ChatGPT. But it's made doing these things that have been on my to-do list for easily over a year, right? For over a year, the to-do list item of go fill in everything on my website, optimize everything for search, do the same thing for YouTube. These are items that have been on my to-do list forever that have been like, to do all of those things longhand, to type them all out myself is just like I would rather spend 8 hours editing a video than trying to just write out all these things. So it has made doing those things so easy. I've also, while updating all those things on my website, kind of recategorized and reorganized different things, trying to make it so the pages load faster, so make it so things are easier to access, and, trying to make things less complex, right? Less complicated, right? Because one of the reasons why in my experience, one of the reasons why I am faced with technology herpes is the more complex the setup is, the more links in the chain that can fail, the more opportunity there is for failure. So making things as simple and streamlined as possible is what I'm constantly trying to do in everything I'm trying to do, right? Trying to limit the steps. If something takes 3 steps, I want to try and get it to 1 or 2, right? Always trying to find ways to streamline things. One of the big reasons why going digital is going to be a big help for me, because the process from, like, if I'm watching a movie, I used to take notes, pen in my notebook, write down notes as I'm watching a movie. Then on Saturdays when I do my prep, I will take those notes from my notebook and transcribe them onto whiteboards that I then would put up underneath the camera to keep track of what I want to say and remember all the things I want to say. And then having to have a description of the show and all those things would have been just a lot of the times didn't even happen. So descriptions for this show, descriptions for Swipe Up, descriptions for a lot of different shows, I can just copy and paste and have those things translated very easily because they're already digital. I can take notes directly into my phone while I'm watching a movie or directly onto my laptop, and then those notes just need to be reordered and reorganized to fit my newly structured episodes, my new templates for each episodes, the formats that I use, and then I just pull those up. It's just like, instead of 3 steps, it's 1 step, and it's way better quality. So anytime I see an opportunity to do that, to streamline something, to make things easier, it's definitely better. It's definitely better. And being able to get all these different things refreshed so that I'm making everything that I do as easily accessible as possible, whether it's searching for an episode, whether it's me showing up in people's search results, I need that to happen as much as possible, right? Because that's the whole reason I'm doing these things, is for people to watch it. The only way I'm going to make money doing these things is to grow an audience and have people define my stuff and have it easily accessible, easy to share, all these things. Everything, the easier it is, the better it is. So doing all that refreshing of those things. Let's take a quick break right now to talk about, are you a fan of original artwork and live events? Look no further than the Many Faces series by Ray Taylor and the weekly live stream over at youtube.com/inspired disorder. This ongoing series explores the endless possibilities of the human face through abstract ink paintings on paper, capturing unique expressions of emotion, mood, tone, and energy in just a few minimal features. Join me every Thursday at 4:20 Pacific Time as I paint live. Follow the Many Faces series and discover the endless possibilities of the human face. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be part of the action and own a piece of original artwork by me, Ray Taylor. Head to youtube.com/inspired disorder every Thursday to catch the live stream, and visit inspireddisorder.com to browse and purchase the Many Faces artwork. And now, let's get back to the show. During that process, going through my website, going into all the settings, right, which I don't usually, when I go to my website, update my website multiple times a week, adding new paintings, adding the new episodes for the different shows that I host through my website, right? All my podcasts, 7 podcast feeds, 8, 10 podcast feeds now, I guess, are all hosted through my Squarespace website. I'm usually just dealing with the pages. I'm not going into the settings. I'm not changing the overall design of my website. I'm not going into the settings, but since I was doing all of that stuff with the SEO and making sure I fill in all of the places I can fill in to optimize everything, I came across a warning that there was an issue with my domain name, which I don't know how long there was an issue. I don't know what I did on my end, if I accidentally changed a setting that made something go wonky, but there was a notification that my DNS records there was an error in my DNS records, which is kind of like the records that connects your domain name to your website, right? So when you type in inspireddisorder.com, the internet knows to send you to my website. And there was a security issue, which meant that it meant that none of my podcasts were updating. So if you noticed last week, it took a few days for the episodes to load. It was because of this issue. Also, if you were trying to go to my website specifically for anything, it would show up as there would be a warning, depending on your web browser. Some people never noticed it, but there would be a warning saying that it seems like this website might be trying to impersonate a website and it's not secure. So you had to jump through hoops to actually get the website to load. Horrible, not a good thing. It is everything I do was shut down for a few days last week. Huge issue, right? So I did what I thought was going to fix the problem, and I had to wait 24 to 72 hours for this SSL record to generate, which I thought was the thing that I needed for things to start working again, right? So even though I fixed things, nothing seemed fixed, and I felt like I had to wait 3 days for this thing to generate to start working. So, I kind of just put that aside and not stress out about it, right? The one thing I hate is not having control over fixing a problem and having that situation where it's like, I think I fixed the problem, but I won't know for 3 days if I did. Having to put that out of my head. I did an okay job. I definitely haven't slept good this week. I've had some insane dreams. I've been so stressed out. I've been so on edge, in ways frustration, right? Even when I'm editing the promos, right, which went well, but I was getting so frustrated because I kept just small things were frustrating me. And all through this week, yesterday included, like I was just so on edge because this thing. So anyway, and it was like 2 in the morning because I had been, when I started doing that updating of my website, of YouTube, of all these things, filling in the descriptions, filling in the SAO, I was up late. I was just like, if I get in the mood, if I'm being motivated and I'm on a roll, I want to just go, 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 go. And when I noticed this, it was like 2 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'm barely awake, right? I'm trying to work until I need to pass out, right? I'm not, because I like trying to just get it all done so I can just be done with it. And then I noticed this domain thing. And it's like I'm barely awake to try and fix it. And, didn't know what was going to happen. I was hoping, hopefully by the time I record this episode, everything will be working again. But I didn't know. Up until yesterday, I spent most of my morning Saturday when I'm usually prepping. So I was up again till like midnight prepping for the show, which should take me a lot less time. Still kind of getting used to the new prep, but also the first part of my day, it had been past 72 hours, 78 hours or whatever, and it still wasn't working. My podcasts weren't updating anywhere, and this is not good. I see what all of these things that were going so well. Subscriptions to the podcast were over 100,000 subscribers. New year, super excited, super stoked, and now everything gets shut down because of this one little thing. And I'm on tech support chatting with the company that my domain name is through and chatting with Squarespace and trying to, like, if they just could call each other and talk to each other, it would have been easy. But I'm ignorant. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to be like, okay, and I don't know where the problem is, right? All I know is it's not working. I want to make sure that I fixed it right, that if it's just something I have to wait, then I'll just wait. But I need to know. And trying to find out what end of the issue it's on. Is it the domain name end or is it on the website end? And finally, after like hours of going back and forth, finally figured out how to fix it, which was basically, there was like the way things were entered on my website, it was just, there was a mix-up on communication. And literally, like as I would refresh thing, it would go from showing me the error to being connected. So it's like, I don't know what's going on. Like every time I refresh it, it keeps flip-flopping. So I ended up doing just disconnected the domain altogether and just went through the process of adding it again, and which was a super easy process. And the thing that was not showing up, that was the one kind of key to fixing everything, finally showed up when I went through and just to add it again. Instantly fixed it. I went to my tablet to look up my podcast to make sure, to see if they're refreshing. Slowly they started refreshing. So the podcast was back up yesterday after almost being a week. I think Wednesday's episode was the last episode to get released. I think it could have been Tuesday. It was not good. But finally got it working. So that issue finally taken care of. Super stressful. I hate fixing things, but them not taking effect, not seeing the effects of the change right away. But finally was able to get it all done, And if I didn't happen to be working on my website, doing those things where I'm in the like advanced settings of my website, I wouldn't have seen the warning, and who knows how long I would have had this issue. So, thankfully it got fixed. Whatever. But that wasn't the only piece of technology herpes I had. That was probably the biggest one. But the other one was, so I use to record this show, I use a refurbished iPhone 7, right? Use the front-facing camera, right? So I can see myself in the screen. Camera, good quality camera. iPhones have good quality cameras. The only thing I use this for is to record this show. I used it to record the promos, and then I use it for the front-facing view of my live. Basically, you see it on my daily posts, my social posts, where you see me painting, and then below is the top-down and over-the-shoulder view. And then if you're part of Inspired Disorder Plus, the live replay will have that front-facing view where you see me paint, in addition to the over-the-shoulder view. So that camera angle, halfway through my 6th painting, my phone filled up. No more storage left. And I looked at it and went to see where the storage, what was taking up all the space, because I should have, it's like 128 gigs, and I don't have anything on the phone. And before I record everything, right, before Sunday when I sit down to record this show, I go and delete whatever files are on there. Before I record on Thursdays when I paint, delete this podcast to make sure I'm constantly, as far as making sure I have free space to work, is something I do regularly. And I'm like, there's no way. Everything's deleted aside from the few painting videos I had done. They should be taking up maybe 20% of the storage capacity. And I looked, and its system data is taking up 100 gigabytes. I'm like, what the fuck? And I can't do anything about it, right? Eventually I just did a complete hardware reset on it. Right, I started to look into what causes that or whatever, and I just screw it. I don't have anything on this phone. I can just redo the whole thing, reset it to factory defaults, and did it. Right now, it's working perfectly. Thankfully, that happened on Thursday and not Sunday. If that happened while I'm recording this show, I would just use my other phone, my main phone, to record. And thankfully it only affected 1.5 painting videos. So if you watch I guess they'll come out in a week. Actually, as this episode comes out in a couple days, you'll notice on those 2-minute long videos where you get to see me paint, and it's got the 2 other videos, you'll see that I'm out of sync. I'm clearly not painting what's down there because I just used video from another painting just so I can keep that content. And it's a minor thing that will only be 1.5 videos that is noticeable, but it's better than not putting anything out, I think. And those videos do good. For whatever reason, people like to see me as I paint more than just the painting getting made, which is weird. But, I give the people what they want, I guess. But yeah, it's insane when that happened. I'm like, this is not an issue. And I think what caused that is I recently set up a separate Wi-Fi for my studio instead of going through the main house's Wi-Fi, to make sure I have a stronger connection when I'm doing stuff, which actually is exponentially made uploading things way faster. I never signed that phone into that network, and I think it was a software update that had been downloaded, or I don't know what it was, but I think that is what I had to do, because when I went to go connect it to the internet, it wasn't connected to any Wi-Fi. So, because I had never logged in to my Wi-Fi on it. So, anyway, it got fixed. It was kind of a major headache for sure. But, it would have been worse if it was on a Sunday, and because I hate re-recording episodes. There's been just a handful of times where I forgot to hit record on my recorder, or something happened that interrupted my camera, stopped working when I was using other cameras. where I had to re-record an episode, and that sucks because when I re-record, I will forget what I talked about, and if like when I'm speaking, it's like, did I talk about that on this episode that I'm recording now, or was that just me remembering recording that on the first episode, the first take? So thankfully it happened when it did. It could have happened in a much worse time. But those things just adding up to my complete and utter frustrating. Editing promos, I was like punching the fucking, because sometimes when I'm editing and I'm like, I never shut down my editing software, so usually like my memory is like always maxed out. Like I need to like restart applications more often and reboot my computer more often, instead of just constantly leaving everything open and constantly working. But it was doing those things where it was kind of like it was like just kind of lagging a little bit, which is common, happens every Sunday when I edit. Kind of used to it. It happens every Friday when I edit my painting videos. Right? It'll just, I don't know what the technical thing is, but all I have to do is just close iMovie and open it back up, and it works fine. And I have usually I'll have two browsers open, Photoshop open, GarageBand open, and iMovie open. So I have all kinds of things open at the same time. So there's a lot of reasons why it could be laggy. And I know how to fix it. It's just I don't know. Usually I can just work through it. Right? It doesn't bother me. But everything's been annoying me. And I was just going crazy. Let's take a quick break from this episode to talk about Attention all Rayz Taylor Show fans! We're excited to announce we've just released a line of exclusive merchandise featuring original artwork inspired by the show. Our high-quality shirts and biodegradable phone cases are a perfect way to show your support for the show and make a great gift for any fan. Plus, with each purchase, you'll be helping us continue to bring you great content. So don't wait. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com now and check out the full collection. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll show your support by grabbing some Rayz Taylor Show merchandise today. And now, let's get back to the show. And also, because that my analytics for my website have just plummeted because my website was down, my subscriptions plummeted, all these things. I'm like, oh my god, what is this? What is going to be the repercussions of these things? But also on my YouTube videos, which thankfully I'm going to be able to start monetizing my shorts, monetizing those short form videos on YouTube, which hopefully will be able to really inflate my revenue. But my video views on YouTube have been going up, right? Which they fluctuate, but for whatever reason, they're getting a lot of attention. But then my revenue is going in the wrong, and usually they kind of follow each other. If my views are going up and my watch hours are going up, that means my revenue is going up. But for whatever reason, the opposite is happening. And that's not cool. I don't know what that is, but I don't know. I had some crazy dreams too, and I think it was caused by just the stress. I had this dream I was hanging out with an old friend of mine who is not a very responsible person. He's had a lot of issues with drugs and things like that, and I was hanging out with him, and we were driving places to do things. I had my dog with me, and I kept thinking in this dream, I was like, I need to get home. It must have been a Saturday. I need to get home because I have to prep. It's Saturday. I need to be home to prep. I'm going to be up all night trying to prep for my podcast, and just so stressed out. This is Wednesday night or something like that. Just completely stressed out throughout my entire dream. Waking up probably didn't help the fact that it probably just was one of the big reasons why I was so frustrated and angry and on edge all week. The dreams kind of inflating that a lot of time, and I haven't been sleeping because I've been up super late working on stuff and have to get up early to drive my roommate's kid to school in the morning. Just I think all of those things combined to me being in a very bad mood this week, which is kind of crazy. And it's because I had such a good to the end of the, like, even I thought of that. I was like, things are going so good right now, right? Everything's growing. Things look like they may be heading in a direction where maybe will be able to do this. Maybe I'll be able to survive and sustain myself doing these things. And then halfway through January, just everything falls apart. It's like I was waiting for something to fall apart, but to have the issue with my camera, the issue with my website, which also impacted the podcast, to see the issues with YouTube, how the revenue isn't matching up with my views. It's like every possible thing went bad. And thankfully, as I'm recording this, it seems like all of that's behind me. I'm hopeful that by the end of January, things will be looking up again. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just I don't like being angry, right? Everything, like I was just like every small thing, hearing my dog breathe, licking her paws or whatever, just everything was getting under my skin. My clothes just were like frustrating me, and just horrible, but I'm feeling better today. Things are going okay today, right? Production's going good, and I'm looking forward to sleeping in tomorrow, which Monday is usually, I work late producing this show, usually up till midnight, start at around 9 o'clock, don't finish till about midnight. So I'm usually pretty out of it on Monday, and looking forward to sleeping. But since we are at the end of this episode, I do want to mention the thing this week that I am thankful for, because despite everything bad happening, I need to make sure I highlight something in my life that I enjoy, that I am thankful for. And this week, I am thankful for Bob's Burgers, which is a show that I've heard recommend to me a bunch of times for the longest time, and I finally put it on. I know there's a movie that recently came out, past few years or whatever, and put it on, and instantly got hooked, which is great. It's my new background show. It's been on the background, probably one of the reasons why I've kind of fallen behind. I was so ahead on movie watching at the end of last year with my top 5 movies, and I've completely fallen back on that. And I think it's because I just had Bob's Burgers on constantly in the background. It makes me happy. Like when I'm editing or just at the end of the day to wind down, there's shows that I like to put on. Background shows, right? Bob's Burgers is great. My new favorite background show. But other shows like, like Seinfeld is one, The Office, Parks and Rec, even Impractical Jokers. Like these are shows that I can put on in the background while I work, or while I'm at the end of the day, while I'm like trying to wind down and relax. I don't have to pay attention. I can get distracted on my phone. I could think of other things. I could be planning my week or what I want to do the next day. It's a show that it's not like something where I feel like I'm going to miss anything, right? But I do love watching the show. It's a hilarious show, but it's definitely my new background show. South Park is another one of those background shows that's great. Animated comedy, check. Family-run business, I love that. You don't see that there's really not any family-run businesses on TV anymore, aside from, drug-related businesses like Weeds or Breaking Bad, Great. I love, they live upstairs above their restaurant, their burger shop. I would love to live above my studio, right? I would love to. Currently my studio space where I live, right? I have my bed. I have the space where I set up to record the show. I have my art space where I create. I have my little kitchen area where I make food, right? So I have a small version of that, but I would love to live in a place like Bob's Burgers where upstairs is where I live, bedrooms like an apartment or whatever, and then downstairs is the studio space. It's where I create my things, and I love that. I love that aspect. The 3 kids are great: Jean, Linda, Louise, Kristen Shaw. Great, love her. Was it Last Man on Earth? Great show mostly. She was amazing on that show. I love her. I think she plays Louise in the show. Jean is really great too. They have the regular that comes in, Teddy, who's a lot of fun. He's, best friends with Bob, but, Bob's, it's kind of a one-sided friendship in a lot of ways. Kind of, not really. They have their rival across the street. They have their landlord, the mortuary neighbor, like all the different characters of the show. Absolutely love it. It's a funny show, super interesting, unique characters as well. The craziness of the kids is really great too, and just how unique each one of them are. Like, they all feel very different, every single one, and each one of those is like their differences and uniqueness plays into the comedy of the episodes, as well as the mom and the dad. Like, they're all super unique characters. I love all of them, and it's a very positive show. Right? There's not a lot of evil characters necessarily, right? Like, there's no Cartman really. So I like it. And a lot of them have ADHD and anxiety. I've seen people talk about this show saying that every single character is in some way a representation of different kind of neurodivergence in people. Like, they're all expressing different versions of that, which I love that as well. And it's great. Very, kind of uncomfortable honesty in a lot of that stuff. And I love that there's so many seasons. It's still going. There's 13. The season 13 is currently going on, right? 20 episodes per season. I think I'm in season 5 or something like that. But another great aspect to a background show is a lot of episodes that you could kind of just burn through and not see a lot of repeats. So it's a show that I can see putting on multiple times and watching through multiple times, and kind of excited to get to the movie whenever that happens. I'm sure it'll be fun. But yeah, it's a great show. I love it. I love the positivity of it. I love the fun, the humor of it. Very low maintenance show where you don't have to pay attention, and that's why it's one of my new favorite background shows, and a great show that it's one of those things where people recommend it forever, and then you finally get around to watching it, and you see same thing that happened with, in a lot of ways, Parks and Rec, a show that I think I watched the first few episodes when it first came out, was originally released, wasn't really into it, preferred The Office. It seemed like it was just trying to do The Office. And then years after it had left the networks and was no longer being broadcasted, during the pandemic, finally got around to watching it during a very low point in my life, and fell in love with that show, and love how that show became its own thing and wasn't just another Office type of a show. So in many ways, Bob's Burgers is that show that I heard so many good things about for so long, and finally got around to watching it, and instantly fell in love with it. So if you haven't, check it out. But I would imagine if you've heard about it, you have. I don't know how many people are like me out there. But that's it. I'm so thankful also for the opportunity to connect with all of you through this podcast, and for the chance to share my journey with you as well. Please join the conversation by leaving a comment and a rating on your favorite podcast platform, or on YouTube if you're watching this. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you next Saturday for another episode of Rayz Dayz.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.